Wait, you have to make your film watchable in just the first 3 minutes? Watch this clip, come back, let's talk about it. Shannan Johnson, CEO of The Professional Pen, where we develop screenwriters from I did a pitch. Need help in your screenplay? Go to www.theprofessionalpen.com.
Some interesting information just dropped out of the Venice Film Festival's finance forum, and they had some really interesting insights about how movies are getting financed and packaged today. Because one of the mandates when it comes for financing and making films is that the film has to be defined in the first 3 minutes. Here's an example. If it's a horror film, they need a scare to happen in the first 3 minutes. Or if there's a comedy, there needs to be a joke that happens within the first 3 minutes so the audience understands the movie that they're watching. Which is interesting because they admit that filmmakers look at these as demands and kind of a wrecking ball to their storytelling process. Some filmmakers are like, why am I going to take a joke from page 20 and move it to page 2? That doesn't make sense. But this is how movies are being sold these days. And it's why dramas are even harder to sell, because you can't tell what the movie is in the first 3 minutes. Although some of my favorite movies, you don't even know what the hell's going on in the first 15 minutes. But that's not to say that the way that audiences are viewing movies and television shows isn't changing as well. A social post has to hook the viewer within the first 5 seconds before the audience drops off, and it's about engaging that viewer to keep watching. These streaming networks need to hook in their viewers to keep them watching too. I just found it so incredibly interesting. I would love to hear your thoughts, would love to hear your impressions as filmmakers, as people in the industry, whether this is right or wrong, or this is just a sign of the changing times of how we consume our media.
Newsflash, this isn't news. This is the way the industry has always been. Now, does that mean that every single thing you watch executes that? No. Just like we talk about, bad movies get made all the time. Movies that break the rules get made all the time. But when you are a newbie, when you are first trying to make your mark, there are certain things you have to abide by. One of them is it needs to be clear what your film is about in a certain amount of time. Now, if we're thinking about the screenplay, they're talking about the film, but let's just talk about the screenplay. Most people are only going to give you 15 pages at the most if it's a feature, 10 pages at the most if it is a TV script, to prove what's happening so that they can know if they want to keep reading. I have colleagues who will only read 1 or 2 pages. They will only read 1 or 2 pages to see what your voice is like, what your world building is like, and if the story feels like it's pushing forward. Some may give you 3. We like to say that on film, your script is like 1 minute per page, right? That's give or take, depending upon the genre, depending upon the tone, depending upon the pace, right? But 1 to 3 pages. So if you are making a genre film, it has to be clear from jump that it's a genre film. It should be clear from your log line that it's a genre film. It should be clear from the pitch that it's a genre film. It's a little harder in a drama for us to understand exactly what this drama might be about in just those 3 pages, but you should know enough about those characters. That's what I'm always talking about with social proof, to kind of know where they are in their life, to know that this is going to lead somewhere dramatic, and that's why you're there. If it's a comedy and I've been watching for 3 minutes and I'm not laughing or chuckling, or, because I'm not really the laugh out loud kind of person, too tough if I'm in a movie theater. But if I'm not amused in those first 3 minutes, why would I give you money for your movie? Right? So yes, you only get a short amount of time, especially in 2024 when people's attention spans are short, when I'm going to be on TikTok more than I'm going to be watching Netflix. And that's my truth. I'm not ashamed of it. So it's not news. You do need to grab your audience quickly. You need to grab your reader quickly. You need to grab your investor quickly. It's got to be on the page, and then it has to translate on the screen. Happy writing.
The professional pen. The professional